All right, in number 5, we're solving x squared minus 7x plus 6 is less than or equal to 0. So the factored form just to that polynomial on the left-hand side would be x minus 1, times x minus 6. Okay, so that's our factored form. First, we want to find our boundary values to create those test intervals. So if I set each of these equal to 0, that would produce x equals 1 and x equals 6. So here's x equals 1 and here's x equals 6. So I'm just going to separate out my different intervals. Okay, so now I want to find a test point in each interval, and I want to use that to find the sign in each interval. So it doesn't matter what I pick, but I do like to use 0 whenever that's an option. So for this far left interval, I'm going to go ahead and use 0 as my test point. And I'm going to use that factored form to plug in. So 0 minus 1 times 0 minus 6. This would be a negative times a negative, which multiplies to a positive. So according to this, as long as everything I've done is correct so far, any value, any test point to the left of 1 that I plug in should produce a positive result. All right, in this middle interval, I'll pick 3. Just any of those values would be fine. So I've got 3 minus 1 times 3 minus 6. 3 minus 1 is positive. 3 minus 6 is negative. And a positive times a negative is negative. And finally, how about I pick 10? So 10 minus 1 times 10 minus 6. This gives me a positive times a positive, which multiplies to something positive. And I see that alternating pattern again, plus minus plus. Not to say that it will always happen, but it happens pretty often. So when it happens, I feel, pretty good. All right, so remember these, 1 and 6, those are my boundary values, so that's what's going to appear in my solutions. So for number 5, I'm trying to solve x squared minus 7x plus 6 is less than or equal to 0. That means I want the negative portions of my interval, and I'm going to use my square brackets. So square bracket between positive 1 and positive 6 gives me my solution for number 5. Using the same sign chart that I created, for number 6, x squared minus 7x plus 6 is less than 0. Less than means I want my negative interval, and I'm going to use rounded parentheses because it's strictly less than. So now I have rounded parentheses from 1 to 6. Number 7, x squared minus 7x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 0. So I want my positive intervals, and I'm going to use my square brackets. So now I'm going to go from negative infinity up to 1, square bracket, and then from 6 up to positive infinity. And then finally for number 8, now I have strictly greater than 0. So I'm looking for my positive intervals, but I'm going to use rounded parentheses. So it's going to be the same as number 7, only I'm going to use rounded parentheses everywhere. So negative infinity to 1, and then 6 to infinity.